I don't know how y'all stand me. Okay. That's good. Let's start. Chapter 14. Y'all. Let's do like a little recap on where the fuck we were, because I really don't remember. I was so high last time we were reading this. I'm tired. I was so tired. I like just got back. Blah blah blah. Maggie, get the bag out of the trunk. Blah blah blah. Maggie, listen to me, whispered Eleanor. Don't hand over the book until they let us see your father. Blah blah blah. Slowly they came closer to the lighted windows. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. It was dark in Capricorn's village. Only a few lamps were on the streets. Blah 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 blah. Okay, little recap. At last they had reached a small square. The church with the tower they had seen from a distance stood on one side of the square, and not far away, divided from it by a narrow hallway, there was a large 2-story house, which did not look at all derelict. This square was better lit than the rest of the village, with 4 lanterns casting menacing shadows on the paving stones. Basta led them straight to the big house, where more light showed behind 3 windows on the upper floor. Was Mo in there? Maggie listened to herself as if she could find the answer there, but all her heart would tell her was a tale of fear and grief. All right. And we're on chapter 14, accomplished. Okay. Oh, shit! I don't know what happened. I fucked up. Oh, my eyes are dry. I can't imagine why. Okay, this little excerpt is from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. The reason there's no use looking, said Mr. Beaver, is that we know already where he's gone. Everyone stared in amazement. Don't you understand, said Mr. Beaver. He's gone to her, the White Witch. He has betrayed us all. What you think this is foreshadowing for, y'all? Couldn't it be our little fucking friend, fucking dust fingers? I need my ugly ass stuff off of here. Y'all can look at my cute teacup. I need to start a book club. I need some ladies to go to brunch with me and read and drink mimosas. Okay. Are y'all paying attention? Hundreds of times since Dustfinger had first told her about him, Maggie had tried to picture Capricorn's face. She thought about it. Really? You gotta start with the fucking train right while I'm starting to read? That's so rude. She thought about it on the way to Eleanor's house when Mo was sitting beside her in the van, and in the huge bed there, and finally on the drive here. Hundreds of times? No, she had tried to imagine it thousands of times. Drawing on her ideas of all the villains she had ever read about in books. Captain Hook, crooked-nosed and thin, Long John Silver, a false smile always on his lips. Injun Joe, who had always haunted so many of her bad dreams with his knife and his greasy black hair. But Capricorn looked quite different. Maggie soon gave up on counting the doors they passed before Basta finally stopped outside one. She did count the black-clad men. 4 of them were standing on the corridors looking bored. Each man had a shotgun propped against the whitewashed wall beside him. Dustfinger had been right. In their close-fitting black suits, they really did look like crows. Only Basta wore a snow-white shirt. I can't fucking see. I'm fucking blind. Go for a mimosa. Yeah. I'm saying, I feel like a book and a brunch and a mimosa would be like the best way to have friends. So, where y'all at? Let's go. Only Basta wore a snow-white shirt, just as Dustfinger had said, with a red flower in the buttonhole of his jacket. A red flower like a warning. Copper 2. He was seated in an armchair when Basta entered the room with 3 new arrivals, and a woman was kneeling in front of him, cutting his toenails. Ew. The chair seemed too small for him. Capricorn was a tall man and gaunt, as if the skin had been stretched too tight over his bones. His skin was pale as parchment, his hair cut short and bristly. Maggie couldn't have said if it was gray or very fair. He raised his head when Basta opened the door. His eyes were almost as pale as the rest of him, as if the color had drained out of them, but as bright as silver coins. The woman at his feet glanced up when they came in, then bent over to resume her work. Excuse me, but the visitors we're expecting have arrived. God, I can't fucking talk worth a shit, y'all. I need to, like, lubricate my mouth. I fucking hate these bands and these fucking aligners. Also, my hair. What the fuck? It's not doing what I want. I thought you might want to speak with them at once. Capricorn leaned back in his chair and cast a brief glance at Dustfinger. Then his expressionless eyes moved to Maggie. She was clutching the plastic bag containing the book to her chest, her arms firmly wrapped around it. Capricorn stared at the bag as if he knew what was in it. He made a sign to the woman at his feet. Reluctantly, she straightened up, smoothed down her black dress, and glared at Eleanor and Maggie. She looked like an old magpie, with her gray hair scraped back and pointed nose that didn't seem to fit her small, wrinkled face. Nodding to Capricorn, she left the room. It was a large room, only sparsely furnished. A long table with 8 chairs, a cupboard, and a heavy sideboard. There were no lamps in the room, only candles, dozens of them in heavy silver candlesticks. It seemed to Maggie that they filled the room with shadows rather than light. "Where is it?" asked Capricorn. When he scraped back his chair, Maggie flinched involuntarily. "Don't tell me you've only brought the girl this time." His voice was more impressive than his face. It was dark and heavy, and the moment she heard him speak, Maggie hated it. "She's got it with her, in that bag," replied Dustfinger, before Maggie could say so herself. His eyes wandered restlessly from candle to candle as he spoke, as if only their dancing flames interested him. "Her father really didn't know he had the wrong book. This woman who says she's a friend of his," added Dustfinger, pointing to Eleanor, "switched the books without telling him. She's a real bookworm. I think she lives on print. Her whole house is full of books. Looks as if she likes them better than human company." The words came spilling out of Dustfinger's mouth as if he wanted to be rid of them. "I didn't like her from the first, but you know our friend Silvertongue. He always thinks the best of everyone. He'd trust the devil himself if Old Nick gave him a friendly smile." Maggie looked at Eleanor. She was standing there as if tongue-tied. Anyone could see she had a guilty conscience. Capricorn merely nodded at Dustfinger's explanations. He tightened the belt of his dressing gown, clasped his hands behind his back, and came slowly over to Maggie. She did her best not to flinch, to look firmly and undaunted into those cold, colorless eyes. But fear constricted her throat. What a coward she was after all. She tried to think of some superhero out of one of her books, someone whose skin she could slip into to make her feel stronger, bigger, and braver. Why could she remember nothing but stories of frightened people when Capricorn looked at her? She usually found it so easy to escape somewhere else. Oh, no, I'm gonna start yawning. Less weed, more coffee. My coffee's all gone, all I have is juice. Okay. Where was I? She usually found it so easy to escape somewhere else, to get right inside the minds of people and animals who existed only on paper, so why not now? Because she was afraid. Because fear kills everything, Mo had once told her. Your mind, your heart, your imagination. Mo, where was he? Maggie bit her lip to stop herself from shaking, but she knew fear showed in her eyes, and she knew that Capricorn saw it. She wished she had a heart of ice and a clever smile, not the trembling lips of a child whose father had been stolen away. Now Capricorn was very close to her. He scrutinized her. No one had ever looked at her like that. She felt like a fly stuck to flypaper, just waiting to die. How old is she? Capricorn looked at Dustfinger as if he didn't trust Maggie to know the answer herself. 12, she said in a loud voice. It wasn't as easy to speak with her lips quivering so hard. I'm 12, and I want to know where my father is. Capricorn acted as if he hadn't heard the last sentence. 12, he repeated in the dark voice that weighed so heavily on Maggie's ears. 3 or 4 more years, and she'll be a pretty little thing, useful to have around the place. We'll have to fatten her up a bit, though. He felt her arm with his long fingers. He wore gold rings on them, 3 on each hand. Maggie tried to pull away, but Capricorn was gripping her tightly as his pale eyes examined her, just as he might have looked at a fish, a poor little fish wriggling on a hook. Let the girl go. For the first time, Maggie was glad Eleanor's voice could sound so sharp, and Capricorn actually did let go of her arm. Oh, shit. Eleanor stepped up behind Maggie and put her hands protectively on her shoulders. I don't know what's going on here, she snapped at Capricorn. I don't know who you are or what you and all these men with guns are doing in this godforsaken village, and I don't want to know either. I'm here to see that this girl gets her father back. We'll leave you the book you're so keen to have, although that's enough to give me heartache, but you'll get it as soon as Maggie's father is safe in my car, and for any reason he wants to stay here, we'd like to hear it from his own lips. Capricorn turned his back to her without a word. Why did you bring this woman? He asked Dustfinger. Bring the girl in the book, I said. Why would I want the woman? Maggie looked at Dustfinger. The girl in the book. The words kept repeating inside her head like an echo. The girl in the book, I said. Maggie tried to look Dustfinger in the eye, but he avoided her gaze as if it would burn him. It hurt to feel so stupid. So terribly, terribly stupid. Dustfinger perched on the edge of the table and pinched out one of the candles, gently and slowly as if waiting for the pain, the sharp little stab of the candle flame. I've told Basta already. Our dear friend Eleanor couldn't be persuaded to stay behind, he said. She didn't want to let the girl go with me alone, and she was very reluctant to give up the book. And wasn't I right? Eleanor's voice arose to such a pitch that Maggie jumped. Listen to him, Maggie. Listen to that fork-tongued matchstick eater. I ought to have called the police when he turned up again. He came back for the book. That was the only reason. And for me, thought Maggie, the girl in the book. Finger pretended to be occupied with pulling a loose thread from his coat sleeve, but his hands, usually so skillful, were shaking. And as for you, said Eleanor, jabbing Capricorn in the chest with her forefinger. Basta took a step forward, but Capricorn waved him away. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, Colin. Shit. I've had a lot of experience with books. I myself have had a number of books stolen from me, and I can't claim that all the books on my shelves got there exactly as they should have. Is she fucking a thief? Perhaps you know the saying that all book collectors are vultures and hunters, but you really seem the craziest of us all. I'm surprised I have never heard of you before. Where's your collection? She looked inquiringly around the big room. I don't see a single book. Capricorn put his hands in his dressing gown pockets and signed to Basta. Before Maggie knew what was happening, he had snatched the plastic bag from her hands. He opened it, peered inside suspiciously as if he thought it might contain a snake or something else that might bite, then reached in and brought out the book. Capricorn took it from him. No, shit, no. Wake up! Capricorn took it from him. Maggie couldn't see on his face any of the tenderness with which Eleanor and Mo looked at the book. Capricorn's face. Dislike and relief. That was all. These two know nothing. Capricorn opened the book, leafed through it, and then closed it again. It was the right book. Maggie could tell from his face. It was exactly the book that he had been looking for. No, they know nothing. Even the girl doesn't know. Dustfinger was looking out of the window very intently, as if there was more to be seen than the pitch dark. Her father hasn't told her, so why should I? Shit, guys. Like, what's up? Go rest. Y'all go rest. I think it's just because I keep yawning and all I can think of is yawning, and then this fucking calming white noise while I'm reading a book. I mean, holy shit, just stop thinking about yawning and I wouldn't yawn. Like, just chill, stop thinking about it. Drink, frogs and stuff, and frogs and stuff. Okay. Frogs and stuff. Frogs. Where am I reading? Even the girl doesn't know. Dustfinger was looking out of the window very intently, as if there was more to be seen there than the pitch dark. Oh, I already read that. Capricorn nodded. Take these two around behind the house, he told Basta, who was still standing there holding the empty bag. What do you mean? Eleanor began, but Basta was already hauling her and Maggie away. It means we're going to shut you two pretty birds in one of our cages overnight, said Basta, prodding them roughly in the back with a shotgun. Where's my father? Shouted Maggie. Her own voice was shrill in her ears. You've got the book now. What more do you want with him? Capricorn strolled over to the candle that Dustfinger had pinched out, pressed his forefinger over the wick, and looked at the soot with his fingertip. What do I want with your father? He said. My grandma calling again? Without turning to look at Maggie, I want to keep him here. What else? You don't seem to know about his extraordinary talent. Up until now, he's been unwilling to use it in my service. Hard as Basta has tried to persuade him, but now that Dustfinger has brought you here, he'll do anything I want. I'm confident of that. Maggie tried to push Basta's hands away when he reached for her, but he took her by the back of the head like a chicken whose neck he was going to wring. Eleanor tried coming to her aid, but he casually pointed the shotgun at her chest and forced Maggie over to the door. When Maggie turned around again, she saw Dustfinger still leaning against the big table. He was watching her, but this time he wasn't smiling. Forgive me, his eyes seemed to say. I had to do it. I can explain everything, but Maggie didn't want to know, and she certainly wasn't about to forgive him. I hope you drop dead, she screamed as Basta hauled her out of the room. I hope you burn to death. I hope you suffocate in your own smoke. He closed the door. Just listen to this little wildcat, he said. I think I'll have to watch my step with you around. Man, I've barely made it through 7 pages. What is wrong with me today? Why can't I stop yawning? Oh my god! Wake up! What do I do? I already had all my coffee. Is it nap time? Did I smoke too much joints? I think I smoked too much joints.